Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. Oh, I'm just taking a bit of a time out from hecticness and like brain bending stuff. Anyway, I'm okay, just everything's a little bit bonkers at the minute. But what's fabulous is I'm just trying to look at the light today, it's behind me, never mind. Yay! Got my Swanage Carnival programme. The theme this year is a wacky western in Carnival Canyon. Yeehaw! So I will have a good look through, look at the things I want to go and see. There's some aerobatics. We don't have the red arrows this year, but yeah, some aerobatics, and the wheelbarrow race is always great fun. Obviously the carnival procession itself. Oh my goodness, loads of music. I do not have a huge amount of time to spare for carnival this year, so I'm going to have to be a bit judicious and think, right, okay, what can I fit in and around other stuff? But yeah, I'm really excited, really looking forward to it. I don't have a cowgirl hat, but I was thinking I've got my, you can't see them, it's like jean fabric culottes and a plaid shirt, knotted at the waist, what waist I've got left, and yeah. Oh, I need a sheriff badge. Only kidding. So yeah, looking forward to that. The only slight is I was checking the forecast. So we've had weeks and weeks and weeks of sunshine, dry weather. I mean, it's just another beautiful, beautiful day today. A nice breeze, you can probably see from bits of my hair. But for Carnival Week itself, I think 4 of the 8, possibly even 5 of the 8 days, there is forecast to be drizzle all day, every day. I really hope for once the forecast is wrong, because, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of people come to Swanage for these 8 days to enjoy the carnival. So yeah, anyone who's visiting, and I know some of you are, I might see you at Carnival. So yeah, let's keep fingers crossed that it's that the weather behaves. Oh my goodness, I've got a whole stack of... Oh, and I want to say, before I go on to... I've got some all sorts of bits and bobs. So I met Denise and her husband and son. Oh, it's a few days ago now. It was for the... Oh, it was the England-Argentina match at the World Cup. I won't talk about the World Cup anymore after this, don't worry. But yeah, I decided... I had enough pocket money for a couple of pints, so I thought I'm going to go to the pub and watch it. So I met Denise and her gang outside. So hello to you all. I hope you had a lovely time here. At least you had lovely weather. Oh, so talking of weather, this has been sort of infuriating me somewhat. So just this last week, just within Purbeck, we've had 2 wildfires. A lot of Purbeck, in fact I think it's the largest single area in the UK, is lowland heath, which is quite a scarce environment. We get quite a lot of upland heath. Just think of the North York Moors, any of probably Dartmoor and Exmoor have their bits of it too, but lowland heath, it's a really important habitat for our native reptiles. All 6 of them can be found here. Nowhere else in the country can you get all 6. So it's really important habitat. And yeah, so just within Purbeck we've had 2 wildfires. Just outside of Purbeck, so get to Wareham and beyond, so sort of 10 miles away from where I am, other wildfires. I just wish all outdoor cooking, whether it's barbecuing, camp stove, whatever, I just wish it would be banned during a heat wave. Look, I don't want to spoil people's fun, but cooking outdoors in areas that are tinder dry, we hear that expression, don't we, tinder dry, but one tiny spark could just take out square miles. So within Purbeck, there's an unspoken agreement, it's been going on for years and years and years now, that retailers do not sell disposable barbecues. This is the independent retailers. Now some of the supermarkets still used to, but our Co-op and Budgeons down here don't sell disposable barbecues. But apparently, to name amongst them, Sainsbury's, Asda and Morrison are still selling disposable barbecues that people can bring down here, or they're selling fairly close to the area. It's just madness. You know, heat wave, drought, there's been no rain for weeks and weeks and weeks. Why are you setting fire to stuff? But also, it's not just in terms of losing the habitat of the heath. I was on the bus the other day, going up towards Wareham, and I was on the top deck looking out, and I was noticing quite a lot of the hay fields, they're being harvested already. Oh, I got my noisy neighbours. The hay is already being gathered. Great. And it won't be long before, because everything looks so ripe. I was looking at the cornfields. By corn, just to clarify from my American friends, I mean wheat, not sweet corn. But the arable fields, whether it's corn or barley, whatever they're growing, everything looks golden already. They look fit for harvest. I'm thinking, are farmers now looking at the forecast of a week of possible rain? Are they going to try and get the harvest in now? But whether they do or not, it would be early. Whether they do or not, these wildfires, they can take out a whole year's worth of income for a farm, just destroy an entire crop. Anyway, to me it seems like a no-brainer to not allow the sale of barbecues. I mean, I think even with backdoor ones, if they're the ones with the lid, you can close the lid a bit better, but even backdoor ones, one stray spark. Isn't that what happened in London? There was that fire in Walthamstow? Or was that an electrical fault on the train track? I'm not sure. But anyway. Oh, so on to happier stuff. I'm going to have to get some water in a second. On to slightly happier stuff. When I turn the computer on, MSN is my kind of landing page. I suppose my search page, is it? But that's where I land before I then go off and do the thing I want to do, whether it's to go onto my Facebook or to go onto my YouTube or my Insta, or to go onto my banking, to my emails, wherever I want to go. But my landing page is MSN. So I'm guessing that everyone's familiar with it, but in case you're not, it's sort of like, it almost looks like a newspaper page. And there's a kind of a rolling thing. So there's one larger bit, it's the main headline, and you'll see a picture and then a pithy few words of a headline, and then all sorts of other stuff dotted around it. The headlines are almost always misleading. You know, I met Prince George. He soon revealed his true colours, and you think, what's that? What's his true colours? You read it, and it's like, actually, he was really nice. I meant Prince William, not Prince George. Turns out he was really nice. Oh, his true colours. Oh, there's always a neg. Anyway, that's the point. Is landing on this page, so often there's a negative connotation or a bit of a drama queenness about it, bad news, scaremongering. It's just all horrible. And you know, if you're like me, that's kind of one of the it's pretty much the first thing I see in the morning, because as soon as I sit down to work and open it, bam, I'll get something that's just negative, drama, divisive. Ugh, hate it. And I suddenly thought about, I'd heard someone mention this a few years ago about adverts on YouTube. That when you get an advert on YouTube, it's nothing to do with, say it's on my channel, say you're watching this video right now, and you get an advert and it pops up, and it might be an advert for meat sausages, and you might think, God, that's a bit weird, meat sausages on Vivi's videos, she's vegetarian. The ads are nothing to do with me. The ads are aimed at you specifically. So you will all be seeing different adverts, and it's based on your search history and things that you click on. So for instance, with these drama stories, these drama headlines on MSN, if you click on them, massive dragonfly, what, massive, come up here, did you see it, massive, wow. Sorry, it's really this garden is so alive with life, I love it. Sorry, that dragonfly, what a beauty. Sort of a greeny yellow. Anyway, yeah, so So I don't click on those stories because I don't want the computer, the algorithm, to think that that's what I like, so give me more. And I suddenly thought, oh, if that's the way it works, if I'm clicking on stuff it gives me more of it, why don't I purposely click on or find some really nice stuff? So that's what I did. Didn't spend long on it, maybe 15 minutes or so on the computer, and I looked up things like, so I did Google searches and I think the first one was prettiest beaches in Dorset, and then I did prettiest beaches in the UK, secret beaches in the UK, prettiest village in the UK, you get the drift, UK butterflies. I just put in all the kind of stuff I like: beaches, countryside, little villages, wildlife, and I must have done, I don't know, maybe 20-25 Google searches just in a few minutes. I thought, oh, okay, let's see if it works. Got on with my work for that day. Then the next day, when I booted up the computer and had that landing page, lo and behold, what was the first thing it landed on? Stunning secret beaches of the UK. Lovely picture. I didn't want to read the article, but it was a lovely picture. And I let the next one roll through. It was something about hidden gorgeous villages of the UK. It worked. It worked. You can change what happens to your computer. I mean, I've noticed in the last couple of days a couple of the doomy gloomy things have crept back in. I haven't looked anything up that's doomy or gloomy. So I think that might be something I do sort of once a fortnight or so. Just spend 10 minutes Googling really lovely, wholesome stuff that I wouldn't mind seeing on my laptop. I mean, goodness me, if it works. It seems to work, so I'm doing it. Also, I wonder if I'll get some water in a minute. So it's been a really time for me recently, dealing with, stuff that I'm dealing with. Hopefully, I don't want to say I'm making progress, but there might be light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just been horrible. And every time I go to my emails, I think, oh, what am I going to find when I open my emails? Don't let it be horrid. Well, I had a nice one, although I did think, took your time, mate. I couldn't quite believe it. Oh no, I had two actually. I ordered some bits and pieces for my shop, some packaging materials. They're just not things I can get in Swanage. They're not even things I can get in Wareham or Poole, so I have to order them online. I would always prefer to shop locally, you know that by now. So I ordered them, and including, remember I was saying about my swing tags. So that lot that I was stamping up that day, that was the last of my reserve ones, so I thought I'll order some more. Anyway, it was supposed to be delivered on, say, the Monday, between 2 and 4, and then I got an email at 5 saying, sorry, it's going to be tomorrow now. And I thought, well, that's slightly annoying because I'm not going to be in tomorrow, but it's small enough to go through the letterbox. Never mind. I'm not going to not go out for the day. Came home that following day and they hadn't fit through the letterbox. They'd been left on the doorstep, but one of my neighbours took them in for me. Great. But then I got an email from them to say, we're sorry we delayed the delivery by a day. To apologise, your next purchase will have free postage. Yay! It'd be nice if they'd refunded the postage because I won't need to buy from them again for months. Anyway, so that was a nice email. I've been gifted free postage for my next order. But the other one goes back to when I very first moved in here, so that was the 4th of April. 4th of April, and I'd already organised, so back in London, I'd already organised with my power company, so my electricity and gas. Oh, more of that in a second. I will get water first though. Yeah, I'd already organised with my provider that I wanted them to provide for me when I moved. I wanted to carry on with them. I like them, ethically I like them, but also good customer service, what have you. So I moved in here, and immediately, this is before there were smart meters here, so I immediately took meter readings on the day I moved in. let my London company know I'm in, switch it over, great. Found out who the provider was on the day I moved in, the people I didn't want to keep. It was OVO Energy. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but you know, I just didn't want to have them. So I got in touch with them to say, here's my final meter readings, both gas and electricity. And they said, that can't be your gas reading because we've got a higher reading. Huh? I was a bit bemused. I said, look, I've literally just moved in, haven't used the gas. It was in April, didn't have the heating on. At that stage, I hadn't even had a shower or used any hot water. You know, just, I said, well, no, I'm giving you the reading. This is the reading. Well, it can't be. I said, well, it is. And I can't remember what I had to do in the end. Did I have to photograph it or something? Or my new company, they took it as the reading, and then it had to be passed back to OVO. OVO just wouldn't believe me. My new company, oh, that's right, they said they didn't want to get involved with OVO. They weren't going to do any correspondence with them. So I wrote a few stinky letters to OVO, emails, to say, whatever number you had, it must have been an estimate, you know, there's been no one living here, I've literally just moved in and that is the reading. Anyway, I got charged for the whatever it was, and it was, I mean, it wasn't a huge amount, it's maybe £14 or £15, but I was charged for it and had to pay it. And I just thought, oh, you know what, I've got enough on my plate, I've just moved, I'm just going to have to let it go. Anyway, 16 months later, I've just had an email from them say, we overcharged you. No, Sherlock. Depending on, if you had a direct debit with us, we'll refund it to your direct debit account. It's like, well, no, I didn't have a direct debit with you, I was never a customer. Or otherwise, we'll send a cheque. So, I hope, be getting a cheque. A check sometime. Don't know how long that will take. I'm going to go and get some water. Bear with me a second. I'm just tucking my phone under the programme as well. It's got really quite hot out here again. I'm going to melt my phone. That's better. It suddenly felt really quite hot here for a second. I think once the sun is at that angle and it's reflecting back off the stones, etc, etc. Anyway, yeah. So I mentioned about fuel. So there've been so many times when folks say to me, if I've done a shopping video, gosh, your food is cheap. Our food is going up in price. But compared with other countries, yeah, especially say, I think compared with Canada in particular, I think we are cheap. But I've often said it's roundabouts, horses for courses, swings and roundabouts. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Swings and roundabouts. Because although we might have cheap food, or cheap compared with yours, our fuel prices are sky high. Which is why you see so many British YouTubers in winter talking about being cold, because they've only got the heating on for 1 hour, or maybe 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. And it's not because we're being miserly or being martyrs to frugality, it's because it's just too blimmin' expensive. So I've mentioned it all before, and I don't know why it came up in my brain recently, and thought, do you know what, I'm going to actually do a bit of, oh, I know why, because Martin Lewis was talking about October and it's going to go up again. Oh, Lordy help us. So I went online. I had to search quite hard, but then I found actually 3 sites that were exactly what I was looking for, because I wanted to compare as a sort of a league table, if you like, fuel prices around the whole globe. And the one that I found, I think it had all countries bar, I think there are about 4 or 5 countries in Africa that didn't show, but that was pretty much it. Anyway, so it was really useful. Finally could sort of say, okay, this is where Britain stands in terms of how much we pay for our fuel. Now, there are countries with higher electricity than us. I think one was Bermuda for some reason, but I actually looked for combined fuel, as in electricity and gas, because in the UK we're still a lot of us really heavily reliant on gas. We use it for cooking on, although I don't anymore. I do miss my gas hob, never mind. But mostly gas for our central heating, for our heat during the winter. We don't use fuel to cool our homes, as in air conditioning. So an example on that, looked up these as well. A little over 91% of homes in America have access to air conditioning, whether they turn it on or not. But 91% of homes, a little more. In the UK, it's less than 8. That's a single figure. Less than 8% of homes have air conditioning, which is why we also complain about being hot in the summer. We go, oh, we're hot in the summer, and you guys think, that's not very high temperature though. But it builds and it builds and it builds, and we get no relief from it. And in the winter, we're cold because we can't afford to put the heating on. So I looked at this table, and we were very close behind, I think, Germany, Austria, Vivi, who was third? I think France, and then the UK, or was it Ireland? I know that Italy and Ireland are really expensive for electricity, but I was looking at the combined thing. So we are, in the entire world, so 200 and plus countries, we are the 4th most expensive. Okay, so that doesn't mean a lot, does it? So I drilled down, and I've done it. Sorry, I didn't do it for Australia. Sorry, you guys in Australia. I didn't do it for the whole world. We'd be here all week. But I looked at specifically USA and Canada, because that's where the vast majority, it's a new word, vast majority of my non-UK viewers hail from. So, for example, in the US, it's half as much as in the UK. So if you were paying $200 per month for your fuel, for your heating, your cooking, your aircon, everything, if you're paying $200, if you're in the UK, you'd be paying $400. And I'm not doing translation rates of money. It's not called translation rates. I'm tired today. I'm not converting it into whatever. So, okay, you're in America, you pay $200 a month. Stay in America, but have our prices applied. You'd be paying $400. Really shocking though, Canada. Let's say you're paying $200 a month. I have no idea whether that's anywhere near it because I haven't done the conversion. But let's go with it. In Canada, you're paying $200 a month. If you're stay in Canada, stay on your home, use the same amount, but you're supplied by an English company, UK company, you would be paying $800. It's 4 times as expensive in the UK than it is in Canada. So I hope that just kind of puts a bit of perspective onto why so many Brits that are your friends that you talk to, or family members, or people you watch on YouTube, if you kind of think, why don't they just put the heating on? Why are they sitting there cold in the winter? Now you know why. And I did work it out before last winter. My usage from 5 or 6 years ago, before Russia invaded Ukraine and things started to go bonkers with pricing, I worked out if I'd used what I used to use 6-7 years ago, if I was using that today, it would cost me something like getting on for £600 a month. That's a mortgage. My mortgage was £521. I would be paying more to have my heating on than I'd be paying for the building that it's in. Absolutely bonkers. Bonkers. Okay, so on a lighter note, it was really interesting to look at those figures. I love figures anyway, excuse me. This is what I went indoors for. I love looking at figures. Figures fascinate me. But to see it in black and white like that, and to extrapolate that, the fact that it's half the price in America, a quarter the price in Canada, sort of makes me realise as well why over the last few years, people have been giving me these kind of comments. It's like, now I know, because your fuel is so much cheaper than ours. You didn't understand why I wasn't putting the heating on. Now we do. Really happy note. I said I wasn't going to talk about the World Cup again. It's sort of World Cup, it's sort of not. On one of the local shops here, oh, this is so funny. One of the guys who works in the shop had bet with his colleagues that England wouldn't make it to the semi-final. And we got to the semi-final. And the bet was, if England did make it to the semi-final, he was convinced they wouldn't make it, he would come to work in a wedding dress. And he did. Now, unfortunately, I was mentioning about waiting for that package on one day and it didn't arrive when I had to go out the next day. The next day that I was out was the day of England at the semi-final. So I was out to Swanage, oh God, everyone's getting noises on me. I was out to Swanage all day. On my way home, it was about 5 o'clock and this guy does the early shift. I popped in. It's like, oh, I've missed it. Did he do it? Apparently, yeah, he did. He only kept the dress on for about 2 hours because apparently he was really hot in it because it was a really hot day. I might have to turn off for a second because they're a bit excited next door. While I'm finishing off indoors, that neighbour of mine, she's very sweet, but she has literally zero concept of other people. I think it's because she's in her garden. I think it's like she feels like she's still in her house and she speaks really loudly and it cuts. They're starting to discuss someone's diagnosis of something or other. I'm like, this is kind of private, confidential information. I don't want to be hearing it and I certainly don't want to accidentally record it. So yes, finish off indoors. So I'm going to finish off with a TV show. I don't watch a huge amount of TV and when I do it tends to be like old stuff. I'll go online at 10, 11 at night and bring up Channel 5, the Channel 5 hub, 5-star. It does all their 5 USA stuff, so old episodes of my current favourite is Blue Bloods. So it's rare that I watch something new or something that's just out, but I did the other night because of the 2 actors in it and I loved it so much I thought I'm going to have to recommend it, chat about it and recommend it. So the 2 actors in it, it was a no-brainer. It's Sue Johnston, who many of us will remember as Sheila Grant in Brookie, a soap opera. For those of you who were too young to know Brookside, da, da, Brookside. Anyway, yeah, so Sheila Johnston, absolutely wonderful actor. And the other one in it, Diane Morgan, who she is another actor, kind of think of her more sort of on the comedy circuit, whereas Sue Johnston tend to think of her as sort of more drama. And it's a brilliant concept. So it's pretty much a 2-hander. There are other little characters pop up in it. It's called Anne, the girl's name Anne, A-N-N, Droid, D-R-O-I-D, 2 separate words, but it's Android. And the whole premise is Sue Johnston's character has, I don't know how recently, but her husband has died and she has a grown-up son, early 40s I guess, and he's sort of been on-off living with his mum, Sue Johnston's character, but also, oh yeah, he's married and I think the marriage was going down the tube, so he moved back in with his mum, but now he wants to move out and make a go of it with his wife. And the whole thing being, the show starts that Sue Johnston's character, she trips over and what does she do? I think she breaks her wrist, breaks her arm. But everyone's saying, you've had a fall. Actually, I was reflecting on that. When does falling over or tripping up become a fall? I mean, I trip up all the time. If anyone dares tell me that I've had a fall, I am not geriatric. Stop geriatricizing me. I've tripped up and fallen over. I haven't had a fall. Anyway, so she has her trip up at the beginning of the programme and she's going mental because people keep saying she's had a fall. She's like, I haven't had a fall, I fainted. That's it, she has low blood pressure all her life. She's fainted, as she's done many times before, breaks her wrist. It wasn't a fall, I fainted. The son, meanwhile, is saying, oh, I can't stay with you, Mum, I've got to make my marriage work, but I can't leave you on your own because now you've had a fall. So a lot of the programme is about, it's a comedy, it's comedy drama, but there's so much poignancy to it, it's kind of bittersweet. that what we can see in her character is she is, you know, fiercely independent. She's her own woman, but, you know, her husband's died. She's tripped over, she's fainted, and everyone's saying you've had a fall, therefore you need managing, you need caring for, you need to be interfered with and managed by someone else. That you can see she's sort of fighting this, I don't want to lose my independence, but she's also horribly lonely since her husband's death. There was one bit, I could get upset to make, there was one bit that actually made me properly well up. Beautifully performed by her. Such a fab actor. So the son, because to assuage his guilt, because he wants to move back in with his wife and make their relationship work, he buys second hand, so it's a prototype, an early model. He buys an android. He buys a robot companion for his mum. So obviously we've got to take it with a pinch of salt that we imagine that that's the stage we're at as humans. You can actually buy these robots. And Sue Johnson, she doesn't want to turn it on. No, don't turn it on. But one of her friends comes round and just presses the button, turns it on. So Diane Morgan plays the robot, who they christen the robot Linda. So Linda. Actually, Sue Johnson's character is called Sue in it, because the robot says, "What's your name?" She says, "Sue, Sue, Sue." So from then on, the robot calls her Sue, Sue, Sue. Anyway, it's really quirky, and I found it's delightful. It's incredibly humane and human, considering half of the duo of the programme is a robot. But so at the end of the first episode, she's done. She wants to get rid of this robot. I haven't had a fall. But the robot is learning about Sue's needs and Sue's life and Sue's past, and so the robot can respond to it and does a few things which are so kind and beautiful. It melts Sue's heart. But of course, Sue's forgetting it's not an act of kindness from the robot, it's just the robot has learned what Sue needs. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. What fascinated me was how much it tugged on my heartstrings, how moving I found it. It's ridiculous. It's also funny. There's some really cute, funny bits. So I'm delighted to see how that progresses. That's on BBC One at 9:30 on a Friday evening. So it's just about that time when you might want to stop work for the day and sit down and have half an hour of some giggles and some, oh my God, it's so moving. But like I said, just for no other reason than two really great actors, and Diane Morgan's movements as the robot, brilliant. Oh my goodness, that's another alarm going. My life at the moment is filled with alarms. That's my cue to say ta-ra. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today again, and I'll see you all really soon. We might be getting into some carnival stuff, hopefully, if the weather holds. I'm not sure, but I'll see you soon. So until then, look after yourselves. Cheerio.